and welcome back. If you're new, hello, welcome. Feel free to subscribe. So today we are talking about this foundation. It's the Gosh Exceptional Wear Foundation, and I picked this up a wee while ago on a whim, and I have the shade 11 Porcelain. So I'll quickly give you a rundown of what the brands say, and then I'll get into my full review. So very quickly, the foundation has vitamin E, is light and smooth to apply. It is moisturising and long-lasting foundation, which gives medium coverage and a beautiful matte finish. It is without perfume and parabens, so pretty good standard there. Now let's get started. So how do I like to apply this? I like to apply this with my hands. This is something I've started to do more recently with this particular foundation. It works really well. This can feel a wee bit heavy of it, not thick of itself when you apply it to your skin, and I find if I use my hands it warms it up really nicely, spreads it really nicely and gives me a really nice finish. Now you can use a brush and you can use a beauty sponge, both work fine, absolutely grand, but for me I just prefer my hands. I just like the finish that I get with it. I don't use this with a primer, I just use it after I've moisturised my skin, and it works really well. It's something that works well with this particular foundation. No primer needed, so that's a bit of a win. I also use this, you'll see in my video when I've been applying it, I use this to also give extra coverage to those little blemishes that tend to pop up. I just take a little dot of it and I'll apply it to the spot, which I have on my chin and on my cheek. I'll apply it to the spot and give it a second. So I'll put a dab on and then I'll go and dab the other places, and I'll go and do something else on my face, and then I'll come back. That gives the foundation a wee bit of time to thicken up ever so slightly, and then I blend in the edges and just lightly dab where the blemish is, and I think it does a good job of just covering that up, so I don't need an extra concealer to cover spots, which for me is a bit of a win. I do actually use a concealer for under my eyes. I'm very pale, so I do have that bit of darkness in there, and I use a salmon concealer there to help deal with that discoloration. So it doesn't necessarily deal with darkness there, but it does knock out quite a decent amount of the red on your face that you'll get with spots, etc. So I'm really pleased about that. I do agree it's a medium coverage foundation, it's not completely full coverage. You can build it up ever so slightly, but I wouldn't necessarily recommend it because it's not made for that, and it can separate a wee bit and go a wee bit funny if you try and build it up and build it up. So just think, maybe just get a medium coverage and then apply your concealer if you need it, or do what I do and just add a wee bit extra to the spots. Do it that way. Now, I definitely need to set this foundation. I tend to get oily down the centre of my face, and this will definitely, I have done without and checked myself in the mirror after sort of 5, 6 hours, and it's nice and shiny and definitely coming off my face. So I always need to set this foundation, which is no bad thing. I tend to set my foundation down the centre anyway, so that works quite well. And where I've applied extra foundation, I also I want to make sure that is set in place, and generally that's in the centre, down the centre of my face, so just stick myself in the mouth there. That is generally down the centre of my face, and I do tend to use a wee bit extra around my nose because I'm prone to redness around my nose and things like that. So just set where you have concerns of oiliness happening, etc. Now once it's set, I don't get any separation, I don't get any weirdness. You know, sometimes you get it breaking down and looking a bit odd. I don't get any of that. Once it's set, we're good to go. I have topped it up the odd time during the day just to see how it works if I need to top it up, and it's fine. So applying the concealer again, so I use a little pot concealer I bring with me, and I'll use that just to touch up, or I'll use a wee bit of powder to touch up, and it works absolutely fine. There is no oddness at all. It doesn't, sometimes you have foundations, if they dry down matte, they dry super dry, and if you try to blend in, it separates it a bit more and it goes cakey and weird, and it's just not cricket. Thankfully, don't get any of that with this foundation, so that's a win. In regards to shade range, so like I said, I am 11 Porcelain, which seems to be the lightest shade available. It is a wee bit yellow toned, but I think it works okay. It's not too intensely yellow. For me, I am mostly neutral, but I tend to lean more pink toned. Even with my hyperpigmentation, people think I'm yellow toned because of that, but it's not underneath. My skin is actually more pink toned. And this works absolutely grand with it. I think it works quite well with my face. What do you think? There are only 8 shades available, which isn't the best shade range. You get 4 dark, sort of for more people of colour, and then you have 4 light for more like myself and whatever. So maybe not the biggest shade range out there, but you might be able to find a shade that works for you. This retails for $7.99 and you get 35ml for that. I picked mine up in Superdrug. I actually got mine on offer, win. So if you see it and you fancy trying it out, obviously do the stripe test on your face and then go into natural light and see which foundation is going to work well for you. Always check your foundation in natural light if you can. So I always tend to do some along my jawline. I have been known to leave the shopping centre, walk out all the way outside and then look at it in the mirror and be like, okay. I've also been known to think it's okay with the foundation, walking around for the day with the foundation on my face, and then be like, no, this is really not working, and returning the newly purchased foundation because it just isn't working at all. But this, I'm happy to report, works incredibly well. It does last quite well. When you have it set, I would give it a good sort of 8-9 hours, and it works quite well. I have had to top it up the odd time where I've maybe ate some food or something, or you know, it tends to break down for me first on my chin and around my nose. That's that oil slick for you. That tends to happen. If you have drier skin, it might work a bit well. However, if you have dry patches, something to be aware of, it will cling to those little dry patches, which is just not cricket, frankly. So yeah, it's just something to be aware. I did have a spot on my chin that, you know, it definitely dried out. I hadn't done anything to it, it's just the skin dried out when the spot was healing. And the spot was pretty obvious. You could see it, and even though I'd knocked the red out, the skin looked not pleasant necessarily. So just be aware if you have got dry patches, or if you have got slightly flaky skin or anything like that, this may not be the foundation for you. So just think of it, or maybe just use an oil beforehand and a good hydrating primer to make it work a bit better. So that might be an option instead. And if you've dry skin, you probably won't need to set it. So you know, that's something. Gotta have some bonuses somewhere. Would I recommend it? Definitely. I have been really enjoying it. This is my go-to foundation at the minute. I would definitely recommend checking it out. Do I have anything else to say? No, I think we're good. If you have any questions, let me know. Thanks a million for watching. Please like, please subscribe, please tell all of your friends, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!